Hello and welcome. I'm Jenny Hall. Thanks for joining me for another card making tutorial. Today I'm going to be creating this really fun and easy to duplicate card. I'm going to be doing some watercoloring and using watercolor paper and Arteza Real Brush Pens. These are a set of watercolors. It's like having watercolor pigment in a brush with a brush tip all ready to go. I'll be doing some traditional wet-on-wet watercoloring and showing many different ways that we can use these products in order to achieve the look. If you do not have this product, don't worry, we can still achieve the same look using something else that you might have on hand. This is a really, really easy stamp to color, and I like how I've added the gold embossing and that traps in some of that watercolor in order to make it a much easier process. I'll share lots of tips along the way. Let's get started. I'm going to be using the Arteza markers together with a piece of watercolor paper. I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper today. I've stamped this image with some Stazon Jet Black ink, but you will notice that in my finished project and when we put the card together that it is a gold embossed image. I'm using the wet-on-wet watercolor technique. That means that I'm going to wet an area or a section, which in this case is a petal, and then apply a little bit of color down into those deep shaded areas where there's an overhang of another petal, and then use the water brush to move that ink out into and towards the tip of the petal. This is a very basic watercolor technique, and it's really, really easy. I encourage you so strongly to try wet-on-wet watercolor if you have not done so yet, and just explore to see if this is something that feels right for you. One thing to remember when watercoloring something like this is to move over to another area that's not a neighboring petal, and that will prevent anything from running from one petal to another. However, working with these Arteza pens, I did notice that it was not necessary to put very much water on the petal to begin with. I would suggest that you not apply any pressure to the barrel. So I'm skipping around between the different petals and getting some different looks. This helps me to be able to work in kind of an easy manner and just take some color from one place and make sure that the color next door to it is not quite as dark. Really easy to follow. So I've taken this particular panel, which was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I decided to just make a horizontal line in the middle and then cut away the bottom section, and it's just fussy cut. And I'm stamping with some medium brown ink onto a Kraft card base that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm using some double-sided foam tape to raise up the flower or the watercolor section to where it is floating over the card base. This was really easy. It's a very simple effect, and it allows me to get a two-toned look. And now I will adhere a few simple sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. I hope that you have found some of the coloring tips useful and that it will help you in your watercoloring. Watercolor can be on watercolor paper, it can be on something that you share for a card. There's so many different ways that we can share what we create. This particular project was made with one product, but you can create it with many other different products. It's the techniques that will allow you to gain success. If you have any questions about what I've shared today, then please leave me a comment below. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please hit that red subscribe and then click the little bell for notifications. And I would appreciate a thumbs up. Thanks again for joining me today. Be sure to check out the rest of the series using this pretty stamp and the Real Brush Pens.
Hi, my name is Trip. Thanks for watching the video. See you next time.